Okay. Okie dokes. So, welcome. And I just want to sort of do a little introduction and education on why I choose to do a discovery journal versus a vision board um, at the beginning of each year, and sometimes multiple times in the year. So it's sort of my adaptation of several tools that I've encountered over the years. So certainly vision boards, and I think probably everybody has done probably at least one in their life so far. And then many years ago, gosh, it's been over 20 years, I read a book, or it was introduced to a book called Simple Abundance by Sarah Van Brennick. And in it, she talks about a discovery journal where it's just a blank book. She uses an artist notebook, and anytime she sees a picture, a quote, anything that catches her attention, she just puts it in that discovery journal. And it really, when I went through that process, you start to see things that trends or things that repeat themselves in your life, or people that keep coming up. And so a few years ago, my daughter, who is a elementary school principal, and has to walk around and observe and talk and take notes all at the same time in a day, she started creating her own journal notebooks. And this was one of the first ones that she designed for me. And I thought, I kind of like that idea. And how can I make this more useful for me? This one I started using when I was taking some La'au wellness plant medicine classes. So that's what's in here. And then I started to really get into this idea. And this one was one that I created last year, was the one that was on the cover. And this one was for several courses in personal development that I was doing. So I took all my notes in here for that. And so it's just kind of evolved. And one that I recently did was really sort of came out of a manifestation and visualization course that I took. And it was manifesting and visualizing this family vacation in Maui in 2023 for me and my husband's 50th wedding anniversary. So I'm putting in here the contact of the place we're going to stay, pictures and experiences that I want to recreate. So that's all going in this one. So I have several going all at the same time. And that's why what I love about them is that I can keep them handy for different purposes, and they can evolve with me throughout the year. Whereas my past vision boards were sort of a static piece. Things were pasted on there. Initially, it was very much a collage of things, very busy. And then I started to create ones that had more white space in between to kind of give me some different focuses. So all of that to say, here we are at creating discovery journals. And so a discovery journal is a visualization tool. And excuse me, I'm getting dry already. It's going to be words and pictures that represent your dreams, your goals, and help you identify your vision and give it clarity. It's going to help reinforce daily affirmations and keep your attention on your intentions. There's been a lot of talk at the beginning of this year about moving away from resolutions to intentions, because most of us in our resolutions, after about 6 weeks, it's gone. We feel like we've failed or haven't accomplished it. And so then we just give up. So we're going to focus more on intentions. So this is a wonderful way to bring clarity to that general desire of where you think you might want to go this year, what you might want to do or change, and make it into something actionable. So once you dream about it, the next step is to really believe in it. And these images are going to help you do that. So sometimes we just need to silence the chatter that's in our mind. And so I just want to take a minute for everybody to quiet the chatter that's going on around you right now. Take a deep breath in. And let it out. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. And one more. Great. All right. So now that we've kind of quieted that chatter, we all remember that little voice that sometimes never shuts up. And it's the one that promotes the limiting beliefs by repeating this endless litany of every shortcoming we've ever possibly had and every reason why we can't or shouldn't or won't do what we really want to do. And affirmations are that little voice's worst enemy. Affirmations help express who you really are and release you from those limiting beliefs to the possibilities that are really unlimited. But how many of you have heard the story about the flea, training a flea? Anybody know that story? You might, once I get started, it might sound familiar. So as Zig Ziglar, who is a well-known motivational speaker, this is how he tells it. It's a story of how to train a flea. And fleas are only meant to do two things: jump and ride dogs. And so to train a flea, you simply have to put it in a jar and put the lid on it. Well, air holes, of course, because you don't want the thing to die. And the flea will continue to jump. That's what it does. Fleas jump. And it's going to hit the lid of the jar. And it's going to do this repeatedly. Jump, bam, jump, bam, jump, bam, bam. The flea is going to do this for over an hour or more. And eventually he's going to believe that jumping as high as he is capable of just results in pain. But he's still got to jump because that's what a flea does. So in order to avoid the pain, he's just going to lower his set point a little bit and not jump so high. And at that point, your flea is trained. You can take off the lid of the jar and he's not even going to jump out. Why not? Well, he's still capable. That's what fleas do, is they jump, and he's capable of jumping high enough to get out of the jar. But now he can't escape the jar because he no longer understands the difference between a real limitation, the lid, and a self-limiting belief. Sad, isn't it? That the only thing that changed, that altered his behavior, was his limiting belief. So don't be trapped in the jar for the rest of your life. Don't be the flea, be free. So as we get started into creating this journal, again, I want you to give yourself the gift of time here to just learn and listen and do. And so how can you manifest what you want if you really don't know what it is that you want? So before we start creating this vision for ourselves, think about what energizes and excites you. Where do you find your joy? Anybody want to chime in? You can unmute and just tell me, where do you find your joy?
Spending time with my family.
Okay, family.
Family and healthy activities, outdoor activities, and good food.
Family, outdoor, and food. All right. Anybody else want to share? Where do you
Growing
find
community?
Growing community. Okay. Lisby,
Walking and music.
walking and music. Okay. Lisby, did you want to say something?
Being in my studio or in my garden.
Okay. Anybody else? Where do you find your joy?
Francis, you're muted. Can't hear you.
Sharing my caregiving story.
Okay.
Art and movement.
Art and movement. Okay. All right, Tevin. Everybody else is gone, so.
Friends and theater.
Friends and theater. Okay, great. So you all kind of have something that immediately, when you think about joy, this comes to mind. So that's a great place to start. And so we're going to go from there. And when you start to create your discovery journal, you don't have to have really specific clarity. This is not, a lot of time our vision boards are focused on specific goals. And that's not what we're creating here. You can create those journals or vision boards for that specific activity. But if you don't have all of that clarity right now that you want to create, maybe there's just a shift going on in your life and you're feeling pulled in a particular direction. You might want to start thinking of images about what that looks like. Or if you've just felt lost. Sometimes feeling lost isn't all that pleasant, but if you realize that being lost isn't necessarily being forced into a specific direction, it's giving you the freedom to choose your own direction. So that's where you can start today. So when we start from that place, it's really about discovery, where you want to be on your journey and being at peace with that. Esther Hicks, or known as Abraham, has said, I am where I am, and that's okay. Instead of searching for pictures or words on something very specific, just choose those images that you are drawn to, and you don't even have to know why. Also, enjoy the process of cutting them out, laying them out, and see how it all comes together and what appeals to you. Just go with your intuition, go with your gut, and a pattern will probably soon develop. And one of the other things that I like about the journal is that even after we're all finished and you tape up the cover, there's still more pages in the journal. So as you come across pictures, images, affirmations that continue to resonate with you, you can continue to paste them in your journal. So I want everybody to now make sure you are getting your supplies ready, because we're actually going to get into this hands-on. And some people might think it's a little old school, but there's a lot to be said for cutting and pasting and actually working with your hands on something other than a keyboard or a touch screen. And so it might take a little bit longer this way, but it's really not a bad thing because you're more physically engaged in the process. And with that, it's easier to get completely focused with mind, body, and spirit and actually get into flow. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll hear more about flow and what that means, how we get there. Also, your inner child, this might take you back to elementary school where you just loved having your scissors and glue. So relish in the process, gather your supplies. So of course, you're going to need your journal. And for this, what I'm recommending is the composition book. And even if it's not really a hardcover, once you get things pasted on there and get it taped up, it'll get a little bit sturdier. So that's a blank one. And then of course, any pictures from magazines or that you printed out, affirmations. I have stickers and I have sticky notes, all things that might go on my journal. Scissors, of course, we said. And then if you're somebody that likes to write, if you are great at calligraphy and you want to do your own stuff, or just crayons, paintbrush, whatever floats your boat, whatever creative artistic tool you need, have that handy. I'm pretty basic. All right, so all right, so now that we have our supplies, there's really no correct way to do this because it's yours. So I just want you to get started and start to arrange the pictures that you might have already. just lay them out and see, is there something that resonates with those things that bring you joy right now? Maybe those come to the surface. Or maybe you are focusing your discovery journal on a specific vision or goal for this year. Start to kind of put those together and see what configuration kind of fits onto your journal. So I started, this is what I've started. There we go. So that's where I started, and I've got a few more pieces to add to that. So I have one that says I can, and this one was I shared from a sample vision board on just a piece of paper that I had done as an example for somebody, but it was from 3 years ago. And it resonates with what I'm doing right now in my work. I also have one that says the power of one, because I believe that helping one person might not change the world, but it might change the world for that one person. This one, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I'm believing, I'm choosing to believe. And share the wealth. I'm on a mission to share health and wellness and wealth with the world. So that's kind of where I'm going with mine. So I want to just give everybody a few minutes to kind of start to put your things together or ask any questions that you might have right now as we begin to work. So there's beauty in simplicity too. Like I said earlier, a lot of people like to do a collage that has everything overlapping. If you recall, the first journal that I showed you that my daughter gave me was pretty simple. Like that, there's not, it says what it needs to say, but not a lot of, not everything covering the cover. So you don't want it to be distracting from where you're headed. All right, how's everybody doing? Thumbs up. All right. Thanks, Tina. Anybody have any questions? Francis, go ahead, unmute. Or is she waving goodbye to somebody? You can also consider putting a picture of yourself on your cover, but just make sure you choose one that's in a happy, uplifting moment. And then once you're kind of satisfied, if you want to start, you can start gluing them on. I'm going to finish gluing mine on there, or at least the ones I've chosen so far. Like I said, even after we tape it all up together, you can still add more. You can always do front and back. I did that on one. Another option is if you haven't already started gluing and you wanted to just cover the whole cover with a different colored paper, you can do that as sort of a base and then kind of work from there. And I know sometimes it's hard to, in this day and age, there's not a lot of, unless you're a avid magazine subscriber or reader, sometimes there's not a lot of access to magazines. So you can just go on the internet and type in affirmations and open up the images, and there's thousands to choose from, and print out anything that catches your eye. Some that I found, this was one, says travel near and far. That's on my vision list. Explore, breathe, self-care, intentions, declutter. That, I don't know, I'm going to create a journal about that, but it's definitely on my to-do list this year. Health and wellness, more water. So again, there's lots of places where you can find additional ideas if you need some inspiration. Anybody ready to share where they are in the process so far? I've got a number of options, and I'm not sure where to go with them sometimes. So in creating a discovery journal, again, a little bit different than a vision board, but either one, it's not something that you are going to just sit and stare at for hours on end. It's like planting a seed. And the ideas and intentions that are in your mind are now planted, and this helps to nurture them. And this daily reminder helps you to stay focused on them. So whether you're dreaming on a grand scale or something small, that dream lives in your heart always. And so this is a way to start to have that dream come to fruition, have it start to bloom. Now, if you're creating this as more of a goal journal or goal discovery journal, you might want to pick things that are very goal focused, that keep you focused on the actions you need to take. But again, don't let it get so busy that you get lost, you get buried in all the details. Like, when you're planting a seed, you want a little bit of fertilizer and a little bit of mulch, but not too much because you don't want to smother it. And then I found that having these discovery journals also helps keep me focused on that big picture when days can get tedious or frustrating. And we all know that life has its setbacks and challenges. Have we not experienced that in the last 2 years? But now you have this visual reminder to help you maintain the focus on your direction and your destination. So there's a quote from Jack Canfield that I like. It says, "Your brain will work tirelessly to achieve the statements you give your subconscious mind. And when those statements are affirmations and images of your goals, you are destined to achieve them." So when we represent all those dreams and visions and goals that we have with these pictures, it actually stimulates and strengthens our emotions because your mind responds to this strong visual stimulation. And your emotions are then the vibrational energy that activate what we know as what's called the law of attraction. So as you begin to visualize on a regular basis, that creates the power of your subconscious mind, and it starts to program your brain to notice all the available resources that have always been there, but escaped your notice. And the law of attraction and visualization also magnetizes and attracts people to you, resources and opportunities to achieve your dreams. You'll also start to notice that you unexpectedly are doing things that move you closer to your ideal life. You might find yourself suddenly volunteering to take on more responsibility at work or in your business, to speak out more, to ask more directly for what you want, and take more risks in both your personal and professional life. And there will be big payoffs. So how are we doing? Anybody got things glued on already? No.
I'm still waiting for the vision to take shape. So I'm
So
just cutting out
then-
things.
And that's fine, Tina. Just start to, things that really, at this point, what are the things that bring you the most joy? Because once you find that joy, that's going to empower you to focus in on the other things.
What brings me the most joy, honestly, are wide open spaces because I see tons of possibilities.
That's awesome. I actually did one time I just did a whole vision board of, I got it from, there was a series that Oprah had done in her magazine years ago called Breathing Space. And she just had a twofold of pictures of open space. Was either the oceans, a field of flowers, the mountains. And those at that time were what really caught my attention. So you could just do that. That could just be the cover. Just open space. And then every possibility. Oh, I like that resilience on there too.
Coincidentally, I have her magazine.
Yeah, that's the one
how
magazine.
about- I didn't realize I had two of the very same copies from spring of 2021. And as I'm cutting through some of the things, I'm like, oh man, I want that. But then I looked back over there a second ago. I don't know if you saw me. I was like, oh, that's all right. I got another one.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes if it's something that keeps resonating with you, put it on multiple times. If the word resilience is something that keeps catching your attention, then maybe that's what you need for this year. Again. Yep. Yeah. Stories of strength. Yep. And that's, like I said, that's why I call it a discovery journal, and use it to sort of create the vision in multiple ways in the year. And certainly, the beginning of the year is always a time where this comes to surface, where people are starting to, and we've gotten this in this habit of January is the beginning of new things. In a way, yes, but we all have seasons of new beginnings in our life. And so it could be that you do this seasonally. I actually do some additions to my journals or create something new with each of the season changes, the solstices and the equinox. And I have 2 really good reminders to do that because I have a grandson born on the winter solstice and my daughter is born on the summer solstice. My birthday is very near the spring equinox and my anniversary is very near the fall equinox. So that's what resonates with me. Might not resonate with other people, but there's always opportunities to create a new journal. Like you can see, I have multiple ones going all the time. And that makes it easy for me to find things later, is because I know that if it was something focused on self-development, well, it's probably in that particular discovery journal. If it's something that's more focused on my business development or something, my health in particular, I'll know exactly which journal to look back into. The other thing that's really great is at the end of the year or end of a cycle or season to go back to ones that you might have finished. And I just did this yesterday. I went back through my journal of last year and pulled out all of the things that kept repeating, sort of all of the affirmations or things that words that or tasks that kept repeating, to say, okay, this is something that is obviously important in my life, and so to continue to give it focus, because as I said, as you give that attention to it, that visualization, things start to manifest. Felicia, how are you doing?
Okay, thank you.
It's coming together. So another thing you could do when you're creating, when you are in that creative space, if you continue with this journal or the next journal, or if you decide to do a vision board going forward, is if music is something that inspires you, put music on to elevate those creative juices. All right, so as you guys continue, I just want to go through some of the last minute instructions. And I'm not finished with this one, so I'm not going to tape it up just yet. But what you're going to do when you're all done and you're sure that you're finished with the cover is you take your packing tape. So packing tape or book tape, and you're going to start, it's kind of hard to see, but start by overlapping to the inside of the cover and then pulling it across around to the back and then finishing off on the back inside of the cover. So just slowly pull your tape and press as you go. It's kind of hard for me to do because I don't have the right camera set up to show you, but just you're gonna press it down, you know, fold it in on the one side, and then as you go along the cover, do it slowly and don't press it until, you know, kind of a little bit at a time, because of course once that tape sticks, it's going to pull up if you aren't sure. And the other thing I had to get over myself about was if there was a wrinkle in the tape, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just keep going, because we all have wrinkles in our lives. Some way or another, there's going to be a wrinkle. And so just go with the wrinkle. We're not selling these to anybody. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just go slowly when you're taping. And you might have a few mishaps, but just keep going. And remember, that's what life is all about. We just keep going. So what I would like to ask you to do, a couple things before we finish up here, is that if you have anything completed right now, you can kind of just show and tell. And then once you do have a completed journal, if you wouldn't mind posting a picture of it on my Facebook page, my Alaka'i Associates Facebook page, or my personal Lani Almanza page, to share with others and keep this idea, this creative activity going. That would be awesome. And lastly, if you feel that you have gotten something out of this short little workshop, I would love any kind of little review you might want to leave for me as well. So with that, does anybody have anything they want to share or any questions they want to ask? And right now you all are on mute. So if you want to unmute yourself, please go ahead.
Okay. It only has one picture at the moment because it was a
Oh,
big picture and it was
that's
very
it.
cool. And it could
Yes.
have some couple other little things like up here, this kind of just a weird black hole, but it could have
Yeah.
another little picture in there. So
I like that though. It invites you into this window of possibilities, and
mhm.
I love it.
And then this is on the other side. It's a pretty cool photo, and I just put some flowers in her
Yeah.
hair. This is all plants and herbs that was already stuck in there.
Cool.
And, I just
There you
added
are.
flowers.
There you are in your studio and your garden.
Yep.
Exactly what you had said brings you joy. Perfect.
Some vegetables.
Way to go, Tina.
Mm,
You ready for an adventure?
cool.
You're on mute, babe.
My bad. Okay, so it's just me standing on a precipice, basically a wide open mountain, you know, in a valley there, just looking out. And on the lower right here, it says one writer's beginning.
So yes,
Yeah.
Tina is in the works of writing a book.
Yes. And that's what I've been doing all day too. I'm finishing up some of the editing. So I've got like 45 more pages to go. Yeah. But what I like about this is what I'm discovering, and I like how, okay, first, let me say this disclaimer. I did my very, very first vision board. Okay. Don't ask me why. 61, right? I did it when we were on that call with Susan not too long ago. And I showed it, and it didn't feel great. It was like, oh, fine, I'll do these things. And that's kind of like why I've never done them in my life. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I understand visualization and all of that, but it's just not me. Anyway, so what I like most about, well, one of the things that I like most about what you said today is taking the pictures or cutting them out and finding them and all of that and letting it take shape. And I know why that resonates with me. And that is because the way that I've trained myself my entire life, like with studying for this quiz or that test and so forth and so on, and memorization, is I would always, forget what's on here, have my 3x5 cards, and it's this and this. And then I put them all in. First, I lay them all out on the floor and look at what's on them. And then I put them all in order to the way they make a story. And so that's what I love about this. I found all of these wonderful things, which you cannot see. But before I put it on the journal, I'm just going to take a picture of what's here on my dining room table, because I want you to see my discovery.
Nice.
And then we'll see what the finished product is. Because as I'm looking at all of these things, they radiate, they speak to me. And now I know when I do move forward with more and more vision boards, okay, fine, I'll try. I'm not going to say I love it, but that's the part that I like. Looking at different things and focusing on them, and then letting that vision come forth. So thank you for that insight, because I never really thought about that before, but
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it, to take everything, put it out, and then see what jumps out at you. So thank you, Marty.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, Felicia.
Hi.
Hi.
Somebody had given me really nice words, and I thought, I tend to just put them away because I think they're too pretty.
Yeah.
So I decided to just put them all in my book, because
Nice. That's beautiful. I love that.
22 will be a year of inspiration and
Yeah.
perseverance as well too. I still caregive for my mom, who's 100, and she's going to be 101 in 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for this.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you can use it like you can use it for all different reasons. You can use it to journal your journey as a caregiver. You can use it to document things. So again, that's why I have now moved away from the flat vision, static vision board, and have multiple discovery journals, because I can, and this size, especially because initially, like I said, she used a big, the first one I did was in a big blank artist sketchbook kind of thing. And those are heavy. This is portable. I can put it in my bag. I can take it with me. And, if I see something in a magazine somewhere, or I can tear it out and stick it in there and paste it in later, or if a word or something inspires me, I can always add it. So it's never static, and always being nurtured and fertilized and helping those seeds bloom. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And like I said, this has been recorded. So I hope I have all of your permissions to put it up on my Facebook page, because there were several people that couldn't make it and really wanted to. And so they would like to access the recording. So again, thank you, mahalo. I appreciate all of you all of your support, and look forward to our journey together. All right. Aloha.
Aloha.